Hey, Tony Gass here, popping in for a little quick video now. Well, it might not be quick. I'm not sure how long it'll take. But wanting to touch on this, somebody sent me a question asking about this, and this is something that's kind of, perplexing society. And I know a handful of single men who are struggling to meet their wife. They haven't met their wife and they're looking, and I've talked about this before, but different people see different videos, so that's why I kind of have to touch on the same topic numerous times. But I want to explain this in a different way so that you can kind of wrap your mind around it. And women may or may not be able to relate. But one of the things that I'm noticing that's happening, and I thought about this even as a married man, as I take and try to evaluate this, sometimes I have to step outside of myself and where I'm at in life and just try to understand and relate to where another man may be at in life. And here's the thing. When you have been single for a while, or when you've been anything for a while, change is not easy. Change is scary. And when you are comfortable with your peace and you're comfortable with being by yourself, somebody coming in your space and changing your routine and doing things differently, it's really hard to accept. And men are creatures of habit. And again, a lot of this stuff could go for women too, but I'm speaking from the male perspective. So just understand that and save us with the this goes both ways. Okay, thank you. Here go a cookie. Now, back to what I was saying. You have to understand that this is really hard for men because men are creatures of habit. That's why a lot of men thrive better than women in prison or in the army or in this regimented routine thing with orders, because men really have a soldier mentality, a take order mentality. That's why a lot of men get on a construction job or a warehouse job or a factory job, and that's what the jobs were for forever. And they do that and they thrive there and they stay there and they keep doing that because it's just show up, do this, when at this time is your break, at this time is your lunch, at this time you're off, and come back and do the same thing. And on this day, you get a paycheck. And so that is not what happens in a relationship. Like in a relationship, you got to learn another human being, and you have to be humble. You have to be understanding. You have to be compassionate. You have to be forgiving. You have to swallow your pride. You have to suffer the wrong. You have to put up with and deal with and learn a whole nother personality. But at the same time, you're asked to be a provider. You're asked to be a leader. You're asked to be macho, to be secure, to be confident, to be tough. Well, being a leader, what coach asks the players what they want to do? A coach who does that, he's gonna win and lose by that strategy. When a coach goes in the huddle, he draws up the play and he says, this is what we're gonna do. And what he's saying is, we're gonna do this because of my years of study, my years of experience. I'm the head coach. This is what we're doing. 99% of coaches go in the huddle and that's what they do. Well, as a husband, you're the head of the household, but you're not supposed to be a dictator or a tyrant. You're not supposed to lead with an iron fist. So you're supposed to ask, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this move? What do you think about this choice? And now trying to balance the energy of being a hunter and being a servant, being a warrior and being a lover, it's very hard. And so what happens is a lot of men desire marriage, and then they are used to being single, and they're used to being the head and the leader of their life, And then they meet a woman, and then they realize how many concessions have to be made in order to keep a woman happy, and how many little things that a woman pays attention to that as a man you might not process it the same way, and you can kind of go every day feeling like a failure, every day feeling less than, every day feeling inadequate, because not everybody seeks to understand then be understood. So you have, like, right now I have about, over the next 5 days, I have about $50,000 worth of bills that I have to pay. Well, a woman is in a position to where she can look and understand that, or she can say, why are you being quiet? Or why are you working so hard? Or why are you so focused? Or why are you so this and that? But yet at the same time, expect for that $50,000 worth of bills to be paid. And that takes understanding on both parts. And the man has to be able to say, okay, I got to pay this $5,000 worth of bills, $2,500 worth of bills, and I might not have that money, and I got to make that money, or I got to move money around, but I also got to make time for my family. And so this is a balance, and it's tough. And as men, we're not allowed to express this. We're not allowed to articulate this. So I'm gonna give you a real life example. I went to my son's soccer game, and Tatum, and he's not where some of the kids are. Now he's where most of the kids are, but it's a few kids that they are exceptional. And one thing about being a former athlete, college athlete, having a father, being a father, some fathers live through their children. Some fathers, that is their meal ticket. Like, that's their pride and joy. They may hate their job. They may just be doing their job to make money, and they maybe didn't have the success that they wanted. One thing I noticed is that a lot of fathers who had the success that they wanted in sports don't really push their kids all that hard. Some do, but even then, it's like they hit a level, but they weren't where they want to be. But for me, my dad wasn't like that. So I'm hard on my sons in the sense I'm real with them. But when they get home from school, they have maybe an hour before having to leave for practice. Typically, when they're getting home from school, I'm coaching a client or doing a video. I'm doing some type of working because of the lifestyle that I have provided for my family that takes work. And so I have to put in work, and I don't have the type of situation like a dad who works a 9 to 5 and then he could just shut it down. My nature of my business, I may have to teach a class at 7, teach a class at 8, teach a class at 9. And so I have to work different hours. It's not just 9 to 5. A lot of my audience is working themselves in 9 to 5 because I'm working with people. I'm not working with a product, or I'm not working in a process. I'm working with people. So I have to work when the people are available. And so it's different for me there. So I don't oftentimes have the time to go out every day and play with my sons. And so I pay for, but with the money that I earn, I'm able to pay for them to get one-on-one training. Whereas this dad who he works a 9 to 5 and he can come home and work is done because he doesn't have to bring his work home. The way his job is set up, so he can go out and work with his son. He may not have the money to pay for a one-on-one trainer, or he may not want to because that's his pride and joy. My sons are my pride and joy, but I don't define my love for them by how well they do in a sport. And so it's a different approach. But yet, if a woman sitting on the outside and looking at it and saying, oh, well, I want my son to be the best on the field, so that's going to take a lot of extra work. Well, at the same time, you have to understand that man might not be able to give all that extra work if he's going to provide this level of living. And so it's a balance. And because of this delicate balance, this is what men bump into when they go to get into a relationship. And if you've had a decade of singleness and autonomy and agency over your life, and being able to make moves how you want to make moves and do what makes sense to you, when you meet somebody and you have to concede half of those moves that you would have normally made, now you got to consider someone else's opinions. This is one of the main reasons that is keeping men single. And the same could be said for women, but women are societally processed and primed and prepped for submission. So women are taught by society and a lot of times by their mother or their father that the man is the head of the household. So you can have all this going on, but when you get in a relationship, you have to submit. So most women have that mentality. Some don't. But most women have that mentality. So when they go into a relationship, they say, well, I gotta change what I've been having going on. And I've coached a lot of women who struggle with that because they're used to their agency. They're used to doing what they want to do, going where they want to go, wearing what they want to wear, spending how they want to spend. And then they meet a man and the man like, hold on, whoa, you gotta have a budget. Like, hold on now. Hey, what you mean you finna finance a car? We don't finance cars. Like, we buy cars cash. If you can't buy it cash, you can't afford it. And the woman be like, what? Well, I'm gonna be walking the rest of my life then. I want this kind of car. When in the world I'm ever gonna have $70,000 in cash just sitting over there? And so now, boom, they button heads. And a lot of women will adapt and adjust to that man. If they love that man, they want to be with that man. Well, asking a man to do the same, and you're asking him to go against how he was raised, you're asking him to go against his nature, you're asking him to go against decades and decades of societal conditioning, telling him that he is the head, telling him that it's his way or the highway. And that's a fault of society, not raising boys for marriage the way girls are raised for marriage. We're not raising boys for marriage. And so boys don't understand compromise, don't understand that it's a give and receive, and that you have to submit also to your wife and not just her submitting to you. You got to take her thoughts and feelings and stuff into consideration because you're a team and you're one. And so that's what is keeping so many men who have been single for a decade or more as an adult. That's what's keeping them single when they get into a relationship and realize that it can't stay the same. On the other side of this, that's one reason. A second reason is the fact that when a man is getting ready to make a choice, he's getting ready to choose his wife, he realizes but also doesn't realize that no woman is going to have every single feature or asset or attribute that he's dreamt of. And so what happens is these men are dating and they're meeting this woman and she has everything but these two things. So he says, okay, she's not the one. Then he meets another woman and she has everything but these two things. Okay, she's not the one. And this goes on and on and on and on. And what he fails to do is look at himself and realize that he has everything except for these two things. So he may have everything, but he's under 6 foot tall and doesn't realize what type of concession that woman is making, because that's what she's been dreaming of and thinking of and just really wanting and desiring. And that's what she's attracted to, is a man who is 6 foot or taller. And he doesn't have that. He has everything but the college degree. He has everything but the job or the level of money. And so he feels like he's a full and ready package, the same way the woman feels like she's a full and ready package. But then when they meet each other, they see each other's deficiencies, perceived deficiencies, and they get tripped up over that. And so now the man just cannot settle down and be with one woman because no woman he meets seems to be the full package, and yet he's seeing himself as the full package. And where he's not the full package, he says, well, oh, that doesn't matter because this over here makes up for it. And the woman is saying, same thing here. Like, that doesn't matter because this over here makes up for it. And he's like, no, it doesn't. And she's looking at him like, no, it doesn't. But then women are more likely to concede and say, okay, you're a great guy. You have great character, ambition, God-fearing. I'll overlook the height situation. You're all of this and all of this, but you're not making six figures yet, but you're on your way. I'll overlook the income situation. You're all of this right here, all of this, but you don't have a degree, so you can't necessarily go work in a field with a degree, but you're ambitious, you're an entrepreneur, you're doing good. I'll overlook the fact that you're not formally educated. And so women make these concessions, whereas men are being unfair in that area and kind of shooting themselves in the foot. And that's why, another reason why a lot of men are single, because they don't want to make those concessions. And because when we get with somebody, we're sacrificing something, we're overlooking something, like we're giving something up, and nobody has it all. Like, nobody has it all. Typically, if I see a woman and she has a perfect butt, she doesn't have a pretty face. And if a woman has a pretty face and a perfect butt, she typically doesn't have the brains, or she doesn't have the personality. And so all the time, when you look at humans, we're all lacking something. So I could have stuff going for myself, but I'm 5'10". I don't have a college degree. I am not book smart, so to speak. I have some, knowledge, but I'm not book smart. So I had to be real with myself and say, oh, well, I'm lacking this, and this. So how can I be overly judgmental? And that's where men need to get to if they want to get married, is they have to get to the place to where you have to understand that none of us are perfect. None of us bring everything to the table. And the same way we want someone to overlook their preferences in one area or another because we don't meet those preferences, we have to be willing to do the same. Now, a third reason, it kind of goes right in hand with that, what I was saying, but a third reason that so many men are single is because there's this fear to pull the trigger, in the sense of, as soon as a man meets a woman and she seems amazing, he then meets another woman who has something else that is equally or greater tantalizing or enticing. And there's so many types of beauty that a man who has been single for a while kind of wants it all. And when a man has been single and he's been able to date around and to look around, when he gets with this woman and she's amazing, but then reality hits and he says, I have to deal with this personality, this body, which most likely is going to go down over the years, this attitude, this. I have to deal with this for the rest of my life. And that scares a lot of men to death. And so they go from this woman, like, if I'm looking around as a man, and me being honest and transparent with you, if I'm looking around as a man, every single woman, regardless of her whatever, height, weight, nationality, whatever, creed, color, there's at least one thing that I can admire about that woman. And that right there trips up a lot of single men, because then it becomes this game of weighing things. And the way a man may look at it is kind of like when I'm looking at cars. So me, I'm looking at, that's my outlet, looking at cars. So I was just looking at a Range Rover. And I'm like, okay, I like this body style. I like this interior. I like this overall look. It's an SUV. But then this over here, okay, I like this Bentley coupe. But it's lower to the ground. And the maintenance is high. The Range Rover, the maintenance is high. Oh, but look at this, Challenger. It's a lot of muscle, great sound, but it doesn't have enough status to it. It's not big enough. It doesn't command enough respect. This Bentley command respect. This Range Rover is almost getting oversaturated. It's like the staple of success. You made it, get a Range Rover. This G-Wagon it's overpriced right now. And I've had 3 G-Wagons. So as I'm looking at it, it's like every car has its pros and cons. And instead of just having one, if you have the means, you end up having many. And that's why they say, and that's what you've seen, men with means a lot of times who are not God-fearing. Men who with means who are not God-fearing typically have multiple women. And he looks at those women the same. He has multiple women. He has multiple cars. He has multiple watches. You only can wear one watch at a time. All watches do the same thing. They tell time. You don't need more than one watch. Technically, you could get one type of watch that goes with everything. You could get a white gold watch and it goes with everything. You could get a gold watch, it goes with everything. Or you could have a gold watch, whether it's white gold or yellow gold or rose gold, and then you can have a sports watch for when you're in sports clothes. But this is a sports shirt, but I got on a gold watch and it goes. I got on a gold necklace. It goes. I got on a gold bracelet. It goes. But guess what? A man is not going to look at it like that. He's going to say, well, no, this watch for this outfit, this watch for this day, this watch for that day. And the post that the young lady sent me was posted on Floyd Mayweather's account about why he's not getting married. And then people say, why he ain't getting married? He said, for the same reason the divorce rate is high, which is a lame excuse. It's a lame excuse, a weak excuse, and we really don't know why the divorce rate is high. Because every couple could be divorcing for their own reasons, and everybody's reasons is different. But it doesn't have anything to do with trust or faith or anything like that. It's just every couple is different. Everybody has their own issues, and 2 humans understanding each other and working out, that's hard work. It's hard work. It's like we fall out. My mom always say teeth and tongue fall out, meaning that a lot of times you chewing and you bite your tongue. They supposed to be working together. They on the same team, but your teeth bite your tongue. So how you expect 2 whole humans to last a lifetime? Because a life sentence is 25 years in prison. So if 2 humans get together and they're together 25 years, they've literally lasted a lifetime. And so if they break up, it's like that was an amazing feat that they accomplished. Like, to make it from the time you marry until the time you die, especially if that's longer than 10 years, that's hard. Every day you ought to be patted on the back. Every day you ought to be applauded, because that's not easy to do. Because 2 humans getting along, it's like, look, a lot of mothers and daughters don't get along. And the daughter come out the mama. A lot of fathers and sons don't get along. And the father is the origin of creation, meaning God made man. Then from man he made woman, and the sperm come from man and goes to woman and is fertilized by woman, and then a child is formed and carried in that woman, and then birthed by that woman, and then raised by that woman, and hopefully that man. But why are fathers leaving their child? And the child come from him. This child started in this man, from his body. What it takes to create a child started from this man, and there's so many fathers that walk out on their kids. So we don't understand how hard it is. We're not processing how hard it is for a man to then be a woman, be with a woman, not be a woman, be with a woman who is not his child. She don't come from him. She's no kin to him. He's choosing to love a stranger. He's choosing to get to know and love a stranger. And the woman is doing the same thing. And that's why relationships are hard, because humans who have the same blood coursing through their veins turn their back on each other. Lie to each other, beat on each other, cheat on each other, hurt each other. Who they blood. They was together from knee high to a grasshopper, and they fall out and stop talking. So how you think two people that's complete strangers that meet somewhere online or in person gonna just have this easy, straight, blissful road to happily ever after? No, it's a lot of work. And so all this goes into this, and one of this third reason what I'm talking about is how it's kind of like when you get ready to do something, when you're getting ready to buy something, you're getting ready to make a move. Pay attention to this. You're gonna look at this option and you'll be like, man, I really like this option. This is a good option. Then you're gonna look at the next option and be like, man, but this option good too. It got this option, got this, the other options don't got that. This got this, that ain't got that. This house got this house don't got this. This house gonna take some renovations over here. This house gonna take renovation over here. This one gonna cost this one. This one gonna cost this one in a good neighborhood. This neighborhood okay, but it's not. This one by a good school. This one ain't got the same kind of school. And then you go look at another one. Oh, this one got this. That's the same thing that men go through when they're trying to choose who to get on one knee for. See, the woman is not choosing, she's receiving. A woman is a receiver. She's accepting. And that's a more so of a reality check for the woman, because she's waiting for a man to shoot his shot, for a man to say, hey, I want you. Instead of putting herself out on that limb, I don't think a woman should put herself out on that limb and go tell a man, hey, I want you. Because the man is way more choosy than a woman. Women have a different sense of reality, and women love unconditionally, and women see things differently. So that's how you might see a child sometimes. A man might see a child and he might not want that child. He might turn his back on that child. But that woman, 9 out of 10 times, that woman, she gonna love her child. Whatever special needs, whatever issues, whatever behavior, whatever looks, she gonna love her child. Men are slower to love. It's harder to love. Societal conditioning. And then also some of it is biology. Just the brain being made up differently, and just what you do. It makes you differently. It makes you rougher around the edges when you rough. When you're a fighter, when you're a warrior, when you're a hunter, you're going to have less sensitivity and less empathy and less servitude in certain areas. And so that has to be understood. And this is what's happening. And what I will say to men is, you have to get over yourself. You have to get over yourself, and you have to get out of your way. You got to understand that you're not perfect. You got to understand that you're not God's gift to earth. You're not God's gift to women. You got to understand that you got a lot of issues. You got a lot of problems. You got a lot of quirks. You got a lot of weird ways about you. And you got to be gracious with other humans the same way you want other humans to be gracious with you. You got to be understanding. You got to be forgiving. You got to be giving, loving. You got to be all of these things as a man. And you got to learn how to balance the lion and the lamb. You got to learn how to be a leader and a servant. You got to learn how to be a king, as well as being the lowly. Like, you got to learn how to be dominant and be gentle. It's extremely hard, but we have the ability to do it. God has given it to us. And it doesn't mean that you castrate yourself. It doesn't mean that you tuck your thing between your legs. It doesn't mean that you don't speak your mind. But you speak your mind in love. You speak your mind in gentleness. And you're real and you're honest. And you direct. But you're doing it from the right place. And it takes development. You got to mature as a man. You may need to find somebody who is in that process and they're a few steps ahead of you, and they can speak life into you, and they can give you some tips and tools to help you do that. But you got to do this, because for the sake of the people, we need you to get married. We need you to pick a woman. it could take, if you being too picky, every man gonna pick a woman and she gonna be lacking in some area. That's every man, but that's every human. So it's not like, oh, well, he's settling. Any woman who chooses you as a man, any woman who says yes to you as a man, she's settling, because you don't have everything. No human has it all. No human has it all. And so we have to find somebody who checks off the most important boxes. And that's hard to find. That's hard to find. And even in checking off those boxes, it doesn't mean that they're going to be perfect in that area forever. Because you may say, is she God-fearing? Yes, she could be God-fearing. But she can go through a season of trap music to where she just all about the trap. She all about Beyonce. She all about these reality shows. It don't mean that she don't love God. It don't mean that she less than. She all about erotic fiction. It don't mean that she's a heathen and that you got to throw out with the bathwater. It just mean that she's human and she going through her process on her journey. And the same thing with a man. We go through the same thing. Every man have seasons. You might be in a season of drinking alcohol, and you might drink every day. You're not getting drunk, but you drinking. You ain't drinking and driving, but you drinking. You might go through a season of listening to trap music yourself. You might go through a season of overspending, misspending, not having a budget, not being a good steward of your money. Like every human gonna go through seasons, and we're not all or nothing. God don't throw us out because we're not perfect, and we have to understand that. And nobody you choose. That's why I was on the plane today. We was flying back from Las Vegas. My wife, I said I was thinking about going to the fight, and she looked it up, and she was like, hey, let's make it happen. And she came with me. So we went out to the fight. And was on the plane. And we was on Southwest because it was the only one nonstop and had the time that we needed. And so we did business select, so it still made it, a little more than I wanted it to be. Like the round trip, I think for both of us was like $2,500 all together. So like $1,250 each of us for a round trip from, Florida to Vegas. So we coming back, and the lady on the speaker, she said, the seats are taken. The seats are filling up fast. Take the first seat you see. What she was saying is, if you keep walking back here, you're going to be turning around and going back up. So instead of keep looking and looking and looking and looking, thinking that it's going to get better and better, if you see a seat, sit down. And that ties in with our search for love. We keep looking and looking and looking and looking, and here's a perfectly good option. It's a good option, but you're like, does it get better? And I seen that thing where somebody was telling the story. I don't know where I heard it at. It was online, but now you're going to hear it if you haven't heard it. And the lady was saying it was the place in New York, and it was a store of love or something. And it was 6 levels. And the first level was these men. It was women. You go in and store of husbands. And the first level was, this man he has a job. That was level 1. He has a job. You pick a man. You pick a man as your husband. Level 2 is, he has a job and he looks decent. Level 3 is, he has a high-paying job and he looks decent. Level 4 is, he has a high-paying job, he looks good, and he likes kids. Level 5 is high-paying job, looks good, likes kids, does this, does that, all it, gentle, romantic. And then level 6. And so the lady, she level 1, I'm gonna keep looking. Got a level 2. Oh, okay, it's pretty good. Okay, not I'm gonna keep looking just to see. Level 3. Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. And when you go to the next level, you can't turn around and go back. Whatever level you get to that you want to pick your husband, you got to pick right there. And the lady got all the way to level 6, the highest level. I think it was Joyce Meyer telling this story. And it said, welcome to level 6. You and 39,547,698 other women have come to this level. And now you have found out that women are impossible to please. And so that was a joke on women, but it's actually now being flipped too to men, because now it's a lot of men that keep going, keep looking, and wanting something on that next level, and it's hard. I see the struggle, and I thank God that I'm married. And I'm gonna tell you, as a married man, everything ain't perfect. Like, I could look at my wife and she could look at me, and we both could see some qualities in each other that we wish the other one had. Like, that's humans. Every human is deficient or void in one area or another. It's like, that's life. I'm sure my wife would probably love it if I was 6'2", 6'4", if I was more outgoing, and if I laughed more, or if I played around more. I'm sure she would love that. But that's not me. And so we all as humans could look at our partner and see an area that we wish they had something. But if you keep that mentality, you're gonna be single forever, because you'll go to this person and say, oh, well, they ain't got this. You go to the next person, oh, they ain't got this. Nobody has everything. Nobody is everything. So you have to pick the person who has enough, and then you love them. And you love them for who they are, and then you try to build with them. And you're going to fuss and fight, you're going to argue, you're going to point out their flaws, you're going to do all of those things. But then you have to come to the realization and say, you know what? I ain't perfect either. I'm not perfect either. So let me shut up and let me appreciate what I have. And so with men, the main thing you want is a woman you could trust. If the woman you could trust and she honest, if she's going to be trustworthy, honest, loyal, everything else could be built and bought. Everything else, and that is the thing that a lot of times men looking for this woman that got all this beauty, not realizing that the beauty is all at the doctor. The beauty is facials, it's Botox, it's makeup, it's surgery. The body is a BBL and a lot of this stuff. But can you trust her? Is she honest? Is she loyal? Is she trustworthy? That's the hardest thing to find. And if you find that in a human, then you can build. And if you're looking for that as a man, you got to ask yourself, are you those things? Are you honest? Are you loyal? Are you trustworthy? And if you are those things, and you date this woman long enough to see if she could be trusted, like if her story adds up, like if she is consistent, and then everything else could be altered. Everything else could be altered. And trust me when I tell you, I'm out here. I'm amongst the people. Every woman getting some kind of work done, getting something done, and the ones who not, a lot of them are feeling it, and they might not realize it. They might be looking at themselves as unattractive, as less than, and like, why does other women so beautiful? Why does other women always keep a man? Why does other women always this, always that? And they're not realizing, like, yeah, that other woman is that because a lot of them going to the doctor and getting surgery. A lot of them going and getting all kind of, treatments on their face. A lot of them got all this other stuff that you can't really tell it because they make it look natural, but it's still enhancement. And if you sitting there and you beating yourself up, And so that's why I tell men, like, don't get caught up in the looks. Don't get caught up in that. Like, a woman could go to the gym and lose weight. A woman could go to the doctor and come back with a whole new face without surgery. A woman can have a whole nother look just with a different wardrobe. A woman could go from looking like Raggedy Ann to looking like Princess Diana and overnight. But can you trust her with your life, with your money? Will she stab you in your back? Will she lie to you? Will she hurt you? And then even if you get to that place and you find out, okay, that happened, you still have to ask yourself as a man, okay, well, what did I do? Was I perfect? Was I amazing? And she did that? Or did I make her feel unsafe? Did I put her in that position? And then she did that out of fear, out of retaliation, out of desperation. And so even then, you still have to take things. It's not just one size fit all. It's not just cut and dry. It's not black and white. There's a gray area. So this is what we got to understand and realize. And once we start to get this, things start to change. But I want to help y'all understand that is why we see them 3 reasons right there is why a lot of single men are staying single. And until men start to wake up and realize that it ain't going to get better, you just got to pick the first seat that suits you, that accommodates you, and sit down. Because the plane getting ready to take off. And you're going to end up being too picky. And you're going to be left with something that's worse than what you passed up on at the front of the plane. So, hey, it's Tony Gaskins. God bless you. If you're not in the growth group, we building the group. If you're in the growth group, email me a 30-second testimonial about what you like about the group from our first few calls. And I'm going to put those together. Email it to support@tonygaskins.com from your phone. I'm going to put those together and make a little highlight reel to let other people know what they missing from the growth group. But hey, God bless you. We'll talk soon.